produce the receipt.
By the way, I think I can top your player exchange before we welcome in Jordan Elliott here. I was leaving practice the other day, and I was crossing Tasman, right?
Yeah.
And I get up to the light, and there's cars zooming by, and the players are coming out like one by one. And all of a sudden, in a big truck, Colton McKivitz drives up. He gets to the corner and he sees I'm standing there, and he remember we talked to him about duck hunting, and
Yeah.
he takes out this like quack 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 quack. It's like,
no way!
It's like bird quacking sound. He starts quacking me on the corner.
He's just got it holstered.
We got to mention that
car.
next time we see McKivitz that he was busting out his quacker. All right, Jordan Elliott joins us from still at the stadium.
Yes.
You were there as I was leaving. I was just like, oh, maybe.
Wow,
maybe
man.
not.
You are now. What did you write? Give us an idea for people. Jordan writes for Niners Nation, and you should go to Niners Nation right now because he's probably just posted what?
So I actually, the first thing I had to work on was I was actually doing some stuff for the Dallas Morning News today. So I was covering some 49ers angles for them. I wrote a piece about George Kittle's catch, the famous bobble catch. I don't know if it has a name yet or not, but Kittle spoke about how there was a little bit of improvisation on that play, and he broke off the route he was running and got into some space, and it ended up being kind of the catalyst for that 10-play, 91-yard drive that ultimately put the 49ers in front for good. So I wrote something actually for the Dallas Morning News that'll be up on their site tomorrow about how Kittle and his improv skills pretty much put an end to their season. And then I just wrapped up my Niners Nation work that kind of focused on my takeaways. So I double dipped a little bit today. I did a little bit for both sides.
Well, give us your takeaway. Give us your takeaway from this thing. There was a lot of, I was talking before, Kid Trickster says Turpin's an all-pro punt returner. I was talking about him. He's just awesome, man. I mean, I saw him. I couldn't believe how explosive he is. I mean, I don't know what that 40 time is, but it's crazy good. Give the Cowboys credit for finding him. But, what do you think? What do you think of? What did you think of the game?
I thought it was just like an old school kind of slugfest type of game. It feels like everything in the NFL these days is so finesse and putting up points and speed, and it just felt like two really good heavyweight teams punching each other in the mouth, and the 49ers were able to pull away towards the end. But I think that Dallas was the best team that they've played all year. That's no disrespect to the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs beat them by 21 at home, but just if we're talking complete top to bottom, factoring in the defense and the special teams, as you mentioned too, which was a big part, this was the toughest test they had all year, and it just felt like that kind of old school, gritty, physical game where it was just this war of attrition for 60 minutes, and the 49ers found a way to pull it out.
What'd you think of the Ray twosome, right? He fumbles it, then he makes up for it with a 53-yard return. You know, just from getting a chance to talk to the guy a couple times, I know that fumble just was like wrecking him, and he had to, like, he's got this unbelievable bounce back. He just got a lot of pride. I mean, a lot of people in the chat were saying, hey, get used to it. That's Ray. He fumbles. He hasn't been that way this year. What'd you think of his, he may have had one of the biggest positive and negative plays in the game.
I completely am with Van on this one in the chat. I said the same exact thing in the press box. I was sitting next to Kyle Posey, and I was like, this literally reminded me of Kyle Williams when he had this big moment of redemption. I just hope we don't get the third act like we had with Kyle Williams back in 2011. So thankfully that was avoided. But yeah, I thought, I remember sitting there watching after, and he's sitting on the bench by himself. He had a coach or someone come up and talk to him, but I was like, man, that's got to be the loneliest 5 minutes of his life sitting there on that bench. You know what? And the defense ended up getting the stop they needed to hold him to a field goal. But you're right. He rebounded in a big way. And that was something that could have really been the defining outcome of this game. If Dallas punches it in the end zone there and the 49ers don't find a way to rebound, that could be the thing we're talking about now. And, first thing we all see Monday morning. So I just thought it really was a good example of the resiliency a guy like McLeod has on an individual level, and just the way that this team is able to pick each other up. Because you got to feel for the 49ers defense. They forced the Cowboys to punt coming out at halftime, getting the ball, and then they're going right back on the field with their back pressed against their own end zone, and they're able to get that stop there. So I just think it really speaks volumes to the way that this team plays for each other and the way they're able to pick one another up when there's adversity.
Couple super chats. Russell J says, believes sincerely the Cowboys roster uniquely matched up with us. No slight towards the Eagles at all, but they aren't constructed in the same way. No, they aren't. And we'll get to that in a second. JP Hella Hard 2800 Says Cowgirls got 2 eyes, first hand 2 years in a row, or first hand 2 years in a row. What's real?
Got two looks.
Got 2 looks, first hand 2 years in a row. What's real? Okay. Let's go to Joe Young. He says, great win. Defense was solid. Line play wore down Dallas in the second half. Only question I have is why doesn't Kyle ever roll Purdy out to the right? What do you think of that? Seems like we are seeing Purdy going his, the non-natural throwing motion would be for him to roll left and throw. And that's what we've seen more than him rolling right.
I think a lot of it has to do with just the run action they're selling to the right side. And a lot of times it seems like that's happening where they are really working hard to sell the run action off of McGlinchey and off of Burford or Brunskill, whoever's in at that right guard spot. But there could just be something, too, to Purdy being more